Hey guys, this is Patrick. I want to share with you our journey at building an owner-builder pool. So as you can see at the beginning of this video, we built a pretty epic pool a few months ago, and I did it as an owner-builder. That means I didn't hire a general contractor pool company to build my pool. I found and hired the subcontractors, designer, engineer all by myself. So I want to share that journey with you. Quite a few of you have reached out to me asking how it was done, what the process was like, and I want to share it with you because two key things to know is we built the pool in about 6.5 weeks. That means from bucket in the ground, digging soil, to finished pool that we could jump into and have a good time. That was 6.5 weeks. Second thing is we ended up saving about 50% on our overall costs. So those are two pretty big factors that might make you consider doing the pool yourself. I want to share with you how we did that, what the process is like, so let's jump into it. So the first thing we actually did before we started building our pool, quite honestly, was getting general contractor quotes. I didn't really want to take on a pool build by myself. I've never done it. It seems like a big undertaking, that it would take a lot of time. I've got a job, I've got family, I've got everything going on in my life, and I honestly wasn't ready to take it on. But as I went out and got contractor quotes and started seeing the prices to build a pool and the paving around it, I was ready to look at other options. I realized that the dollars we were talking about were significant, and I was willing to try something new, try something different. So I started Googling owner builder pool process. So there's some great DIY companies out there, like DIY pools, that will help you, lead you through the process of building a pool. They have some great resources, some videos, some step-by-step instructions. And I'm not going to tell you that I'm a professional pool builder. I'm just going to tell you that I did this as an owner builder and it worked out great, and I want to share whatever experience I have. So when I did the research, I realized there are resources out there. So I realized there's resources. I also realized that it's not rocket science. There's not insane amount of detail that you have to go into to understand how the pool is put together. There's a step-by-step process, and as long as you follow that process and stay organized and ahead of it, you can do it. So after I did my research, I went ahead and started reaching out to subcontractors. And even though I didn't have a full design, I wanted to see what subcontractors were out there. So after I did my research, I went ahead and reached out to a pool architect. I just Googled pool architect and pulled up some that were close by, and I ended up finding some good, reputable architects that could give me a design. The cool thing about the pool architect is that they can put together a rendering for you of your pool. So once you give them a basic idea of what you're looking for, you can have them draw up a rendering for you, and you'll see what the pool looks like, a virtual rendering of it. There's other companies who do that as well. It's pretty easy to find people to give you that picture. So once we went back and forth a couple times and I got the design I wanted, he also recommended a pool structural engineer to me because he works with them. So that engineer draws up their structural design plans, the architect draws up their architectural plans, and they put the two together. And from there, you get a full set of plans for a pool. That took a few weeks to get. It really didn't take that long. Honestly, they drew it up in a week or two, and there were some tweaks that had to be made, and I made some changes, requested some changes, and I basically had a full set of prints. So once I had that full set of prints, I went ahead and started reaching out to subcontractors. So the subcontractors, finding the right subcontractors to build your pool is very important. How did I find those contractors? I asked the architect, I asked the DIY pool guys, I asked each person that I talked to in this pool process who they work with. And pretty quickly you'll find that good people work with other good people. They also know who's not so good. So I started just building a network of these contractors that I could go to and request pricing. I knew that I was going to be reaching out to a lot of subcontractors to build a pool. So I went ahead and created a spreadsheet with rows of each trade, of each part of the process, a part of the building process that needed to happen, and then columns for each company that I reached out to. So I ended up with this spreadsheet where I could enter different company names, different pricing that I received, so I could compare all the pricing and select which companies I wanted for each trade. So that was how I built the subcontractor network. Another thing I had to do was get the permits for the pool. So the permitting for the pool can sometimes be a huge headache, sometimes not so huge. Where I live in what would be called county lines. So my county that I live in has their own permitting process separate from the cities surrounding me. Every city and county has its own permitting process. But basically, I had to take my pool plans, take them down to the county administration building and take it to what's called a plan check counter. And that is where there's different departments in the county that have to put their stamp on my drawing, saying it is approved and okay for me to build my pool. So when I went there, I basically was able to get all of my approval stamps in a single day. Now, I ran into a wrinkle where my land, my parcel, had some kind of snag on it that required me to get some special approval from my county. So that part held me up for a few months. That was unique to my property, but once I got through it, I basically had my approvals within a day. That was just me at the county building for about 6.5 hours, literally going from counter to counter, getting approvals, waiting in line, making little minor changes as needed to satisfy each counter to get my stamp. And I actually went through there fairly quickly. That can be different for everyone depending on the city you're in. Once I got my permits, I was ready to build. So here you can see a picture of my overall property where I outlined where I want the pool to go and the paving. So my property was interesting. It's a little bit on a slope. So you can see it's a little different because my property is on a slope. I had to design the pool so that it could retain the dirt from the slope, but it was actually fine. The structural engineer and the architect were able to draw it. You can see I had to remove some CMU retaining wall blocks. I actually posted these on the internet for sale, and guys came and picked them up for me, so I essentially got those removed for free. Then came digging. So the most critical, important part of the process is the layout and digging of the pool. So you've got the layout where you'll spray paint, you'll set stakes and spray paint the outline of the pool, make sure all your distances are correct, and you're placing the pool exactly where you want it and laying out the steps and the benches and everything exactly where you want it. So the excavator helped me with that. He went ahead and laid it out and just started digging that same day. That took him about 2.5 days to dig. It was a pretty quick process. You can see they set some forms around the pool and got the pool its shape, which I did a rectangular shape. I did a 3.5 feet to 8 foot deep pool with a spa up above, and it turned out really nice. So I had to adjust exactly where I wanted the pool, where I wanted the steps and everything. Once you actually lay it out and see it in person, it's a lot more easy to visualize exactly where everything is. So once it was dug, we had some edge forms set around the pool that helped maintain its shape and be a reference point for the shotcrete and the rebar when it came. One thing I also had to do was adjust some sprinklers. So you'll see there's some sprinklers in the photos that I had to reroute during this process. If you have a pool in your yard, you'll probably be doing the same thing. Next came the rebar. So the rebar guys, I found these rebar guys from the excavator, the guy digging my pool. He works with these guys and he knew them. It was a great reference. And that is honestly the best way to find your subcontractors. So once I had the pool rebar in, I had my plumbers come out. These are the pool plumbers. So don't mistake a regular plumber for a pool plumber. Very different kind of plumbing. I at first thought I could just hire any plumber and they could figure it out, do the pool plumbing. But honestly, once I saw how intricate, how detailed the process is with pool plumbing and equipment and everything that goes into it, that idea went out the window. You want to get a reputable, experienced pool plumber to do your pool plumbing for you. So these guys dug the trenches, they laid their pipe, they actually set the equipment for me and then brought the plumbing up to the equipment. After that, the electricians came in and actually laid their electrical conduit in the same trenches that the plumbers. They were able to use most of the plumbing trenches for that. That's me, super happy so far. No major hiccups yet. So all of the pool has been dug, the trenches have been dug, the plumbing has been laid, and we are in the midst of pressure testing all the plumbing, making sure there's no leaks. So here you can see we've done that, and now we are getting ready for the shotcrete. Shotcrete is concrete that is shot out of a hose. So that's what my pool is made out of. Most pools are shotcrete these days. So here are the guys shooting the pool. We've got a crew here that shot the pool in a day. I think they had a day of cleanup, but for the most part it was shot in a day, and it was a long day. There's a lot of concrete, but they did a great job. I was there for most of this day. It's a critical time to be there, make sure everything's the way I want it. They're going to be shooting the steps, the benches, everything around the pool, shooting the spa, tell you how deep you want the spa, how high it wants to be formed up. So this was an exciting day when the pool started to take form. Another thing I had these guys do was they actually created a grotto and water slide and steps and a waterfall for me on the far corner of the pool. So they actually shot all of that in with the pool, and then they would come back later with ready mix bag or with cement bags and actually form up the fake boulders and steps and waterfall and everything. So all that was done at this stage. You can see the grotto, and that was great. So one thing to keep in mind of this process is, I don't work at home every day. I go to an office, but I was home sometimes. I do work at home a little bit. It's helpful to be home as much as possible during this process. Not that I was watching over the work all the time, but just being able to step in at different points of the process, either in the morning, in the afternoon, and just let the guys know you're there. Make sure you're always available for phone calls, and make sure to get in and do, ask questions and figure out what is going on. So you can see there, I had to wet down the pool for about 7 to 10 days after the shotcrete to make sure it cured properly. And you can see here the plumbing going into the equipment, and we're getting ready to backfill all of those trenches. So it was really helpful to be present for the process as much as possible. There might be things, not necessarily mistakes, but just things that you want to make sure that they're doing the way you want it to be done, because there's little details here and there that matter a lot to you, and others may not know what those details are. But it turned out pretty well, and you can see we're getting further in the process now. We've backfilled all the trenches. The shotcrete has cured, so now I am ready to start pouring concrete. So you can see here we're starting to get ready for concrete. I had to actually build a couple new retaining walls out of block, and then I had my coping, the concrete border around the pool, I had that done out of poured in place concrete. So that's what my concrete guys did. One other thing I did was I selected these boulders. I wanted to add some elements to the concrete paving. I wanted some natural boulders to go in, so I just went to a local rock supply place and just picked out some boulders and had them drop them off at my house. Then I drug those things around the dirt and placed them where I wanted them. And I asked my concrete guy to go ahead and form and pour the concrete around those boulders. And they did it. It was great. So you can see here, we're forming up steps, forming up the stairs to go down to the deck and the block walls. Another thing I did actually as a side project here, I wanted to do an outdoor bathroom. So here's a little area under my deck that I graded out myself. and I just had a plumber plug into existing plumbing, and I wanted to get a shower and a toilet and sink vanity. So I went ahead and did that along with the project because it made sense. I had a concrete guy there who could pour the concrete, I had a plumber, and I could get it done. So here is concrete day. You can see the rebars laid, concrete guys are there, we got a pump, concrete pump, and concrete trucks to come out, and they are pouring the concrete. So this is a big day. This is about a little over 2,000 square feet of concrete paving, and they did a great job. There's my little outdoor bathroom that I had them pour in addition to the deck. And this is an all-day ordeal, long day. So we had to pour the concrete, and they finished it out. And you can see there, that's the finished concrete. A little dirty, but you just got to clean it all off after the end of the day, and it's all cleans up nicely. So here is the concrete deck around the pool that is almost finished. During that time, I was having my tile guys come out. I actually bought the tile for the pool myself. I just went to a local tile supply place and bought the tile, brought it back, had those tile guys install it, and then finally, after the concrete had cured, I was ready for the pool plaster. So these are the pool plaster guys that I hired. I also found them through one of the other subcontractors. I actually found, I used the pebble product. So you can use plaster or you can use like a micro pebble, and I chose to use the pebble. It tends to last a lot longer, and I like the look of it, the feel of it. So that took a couple days to complete. So you can see here, now we've got a pool with the pebble, with the tile, with coping, with the concrete around it, and we are starting to fill up the pool. Here's the outdoor bathroom that I'm framing up. That was something I did myself as well. So if you look at the pool here, you can see it's filled. It's just waiting for the chemicals to stabilize so that we can use the pool. And that took a few days just for the chemicals to stabilize. You can see there, the grotto and the water slide are done. And now we have a finished pool. So this was an awesome process to go through. I would say if I had to do it again, I would do it again. I'm sure there's definitely lessons I learned along the way, but I would definitely recommend that someone researches and makes their own decision. But it was a great process for us. We're super happy with the outcome. We've enjoyed our pool immensely, and it's been great.